Welcome to InkThinks. It's been way too long, but I am glad to be back on the channel. With the release of Byleth, we were also given the promise of 6 new fighters. This is amazing news, both to fans of the series who get to play the new characters, but also for small content creators like me who now get even longer to speculate about all the different fun characters that could pop up in the Fighters Pack. So that's what we're doing today. I'm going to break down some characters that I think could be incredibly likely to make an appearance in Fighter Pack 2. Now, I'm going to make an important note here. With Fighter Pack 1, there was a lot of speculation about different characters, but a few picks started to emerge as fan favorites for the most likely DLC, while others fell to the wayside. I still think that a lot of these characters from the first wave of speculation still stand a good chance, but in the spirit of trying to keep speculation fresh, I'm going to avoid delving into characters that have been talked about extensively in the past. I'll briefly talk more about the Phase 1 picks a bit later in the video. So with that out of the way, let's get into the video and list out the top 6 most likely fighters to make it into Fighter Pack 2. Alright, let's kick off the list strong with a pick that people used to talk about a ton but has kind of fallen off of the speculation wagon. I would be thrilled to see another pick from the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise make their appearance in Smash Bros. Especially because it gives me an excuse to play the City Escape theme in my video. Now, when a second Sonic character is speculated about, Shadow tends to be the most widely talked about pick. And that makes a lot of sense. He's grown into an incredibly popular character from the franchise, and he has a lot of attributes that would work really well in Smash. He was even in a popular fan mod of Brawl called Super Smash Bros. Legacy. Someone in my Discord suggested that Shadow could even play as a Bayonetta clone as an excuse to give him his Chaos Control time stops and use his guns from Shadow the Hedgehog. Other popular picks from Sonic's franchise include Knuckles, who made his own debut in Project M. I could see Knuckles being a ton of fun to play as, but I think the biggest draw for him is the fact that we could call the game Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and Knuckles. I could see Tails being pretty unique as well, having his moveset focus on his inventive personality. Maybe his down special would be a charge meter like Joker's, and when the meter is completed, he gets into his mech suit from Sonic Adventure and becomes way more powerful. You know, I could really see any of these Sonic picks making their way into Smash, but my honest guess would probably be Shadow. Alright, next up on the list is a series that I'm not super personally familiar with, but I felt like it was definitely worth mentioning. Monster Hunter is an incredibly popular action RPG series where you play as a hero who protects a village from intimidating and interesting monsters. The gameplay is highly customizable, giving you a wide variety of armor and weapons to choose from to take down these monsters. Monster Hunter is Capcom's second best-selling franchise after Resident Evil, which, to be honest, I also considered for this video. The series has sold over 60 million units worldwide and is popular all across the planet. The Smash team has also worked with the Monster Hunter team in the past, as we can see by the inclusion of the Rathalos. I think that this could be a big point in the series' favor. I could see a hunter from Monster Hunter being a playable character similar to Robin in the sense that you can play either gender with a large amount of customizability. Now, something that could make the hunter kind of unique, even among other DLC characters, would be to give them some sort of mechanic that plays off of the idea of loot drops from monsters. Maybe when you deal 50% damage to your opponent, they drop a random item that can only be picked up by the hunter. This item would either give you better offense, defense, or speed. I don't know, I think it's cool, and regardless of how it's implemented, I could see Monster Hunter being an excellent pick for the Fighter Pass. If you had a Nintendo DS while you were growing up, then you've almost certainly heard of this next fighter. While many people have made calls for Phoenix Wright to be a playable character in Smash, I think a more likely candidate, who's somewhat related, is Professor Layton. Professor Layton hails from the wildly popular puzzle series of the same name. The series was created by the developer Level 5, but published originally on the Nintendo DS, and it's sold over 17 million units, quickly becoming one of the best sellers on the system, especially when you consider games that weren't developed by Nintendo themselves. I think that Professor Layton would actually fit quite well into Smash and make for a really interesting character. If you want to see an awesome moveset and breakdown of Professor Layton, I found a great one on Smashboards. I'm going to link it in the description below, but I'm going to tell you how I envision him working. First off, we've seen him use a sword pretty well and defend himself. He's surprisingly athletic for a two-dimensional detective, but that's not the main appeal of Professor Layton as a character. He would be representing the puzzle genre, which is incredibly underrepresented in Smash other than Dr. Mario, I think. I think that his moveset could reflect the puzzling nature of his games. His gameplay might revolve around mind games, fake-outs, and illusions. You need to be in peak mental condition to fight him effectively. I think that Professor Layton could be a really great pick. When it comes to the roster of Super Smash Bros., there are by far more male characters to choose from when compared to female characters, and look, I get it. Many of the biggest gaming icons are male, and someone shouldn't be included just because of their gender, regardless of merit. That said, few gaming icons have the same amount of merit and lasting impact as Lara Croft, the Tomb Raider. Lara is a hardcore gaming legend at this point. With over 75 million games sold across her series, Lara has explored, shot, sliced, and fought her way into her status as a gaming icon. She's been featured in games, comics, movies, web series, fan films, and she even holds the Guinness World Record for the best-selling video game heroine of all time, along with 5 other world records. I didn't even know that video game characters could have those. It's kind of odd that we haven't gotten an Ubisoft rep in Smash yet, especially considering how big of a company they are. My only plausible theory is that Nintendo wants to separate themselves as much as possible from Ubisoft's E3 performances.
Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon. Here! Hold my joy wand. Yikes!
But in all honesty, it seems like it's only a matter of time before Ubisoft sends a champion to Smash. And while Rayman has been a seemingly popular pick for speculation, even among myself, Lara Croft is an awesome choice that I'm surprised more people aren't talking about. This next pick is brought to you by Byleth. Byleth, the saving grace that has finally given me an acceptable reason to speculate first-party DLC. Thank you, Byleth. Alright, so when I think of a first-party series that needs a little more loving in Smash, my mind immediately goes to The Legend of Zelda. If you've been following the channel for a while, then it's gonna come as no surprise to you that Imp has long been my most wanted character in Smash. Well, today we're talking about a different Legend of Zelda rep. Now, before I get into it, I know what you're thinking. There's already 6 fighters from the series, isn't that enough? Well, the issue is that each of the fighters are a different version of Zelda, Link, or Ganondorf. There's no trace of Skull Kid, Impa, Tingle, or any other interesting picks. So to remedy this, my pick for a Legend of Zelda rep is Princess Zelda from Breath of the Wild. Okay, hear me out. I know I just said that we need a new character who isn't Zelda, Link, or Ganondorf, and I know that Sakurai said that Breath of the Wild Zelda isn't fit for combat, but I think I've come up with a solution to both of those issues. In Breath of the Wild, Princess Zelda is first and foremost a researcher. She's somewhat uncomfortable with magic, we never see her fight, and it seems like she'd almost always rather be exploring a field or having her nose in a book. So we're gonna embrace that side of her and run with it. This version of Zelda would wander around the battlefield reading a book, totally oblivious to everything going on. Each of her attacks or throws would be a different champion coming to her aid. By coming to her aid, I mean, for example, if you use her side smash, Zelda might get distracted by a flower on the ground, and as she bends to pick it up, Urbosa appears and stabs the area in front of her. Her up special could be Rivali lifting her into the air as she reads a book. I took inspiration from the way that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles play in Injustice 2, and I think that a similar mechanic could work really well in Smash, and I think this is a perfect way to do it. If you've made it this far in the video, then chances are that you like what I'm doing here on this channel. If you want to see more content like this, then let me know by hitting the subscribe button. Each new subscriber literally makes my day, and I'm so stoked to have you all on board. If you want to come talk with me directly about any theories you have, then let me know in the comments who you think is coming to Smash, or better yet, come join me on my Discord server, the link's in the description. Now before I get to my number 1 pick, I want to give some quick honorable mentions. These are some characters that I think are very likely and were widely speculated in the first wave of speculation, but I'm not devoting a ton of time to them here for the sake of new speculation. Specific characters I think have a good shot are Sora, Rayman, Ryu Hayabusa, or maybe even one of the new Pokemon from Sword and Shield, or even Doomguy. Anyway, now that that's out of the way, let's get on with my number 1 pick. Out of all of the games that have refused to die over the years, Skyrim is up there among the ranks of Melee and Team Fortress 2, firmly cementing Skyrim's Dragonborn as one of Bethesda's longest-lasting fighters. Skyrim has received port after port and even several remakes, including one in VR. The game itself has sold over 30 million copies between its different versions, and even seeing ports as recent as the Switch. And this brings up an important point about Bethesda. They have been one of the Switch's biggest supporters from the beginning, with both Skyrim and Doom being early releases on the Switch. The vice president of Bethesda's PR department confirmed that there have been talks about bringing characters to Smash. More than anything, I think that the Dragonborn would really stand out among other fighters by having a unique moveset. One thing that could be unique about the Dragonborn is his Thum shouts. He can release a sonic wave from his mouth that grants a wide variety of effects. I could very easily see this being incorporated into his moveset or attacks, whether he's dashing towards someone, shooting fire, or even just pushing someone back. I can kind of envision these shouts as being selected a similar way to Shulk's Monado arts. Something else unique about Skyrim's Dragonborn is that you can customize him in-game to play basically however you want. You could be an archer, like I tend to do in Skyrim, or an axe user, or a spellcaster, or maybe even something different altogether. What's cool about Skyrim is that the more you use an ability, the quicker it levels up. This could be reflected in Smash by giving the Dragonborn a moveset that could switch between a few different fighting styles, while a gauge builds up on the bottom of the screen that represents your experience. Once the gauge is full, the next move you use could have a slight buff for the rest of the battle, almost like leveling up a skill tree. I could really see the Dragonborn being a great fighter in the game. Anyway, that's my video. Thank you so much for watching it, and if you agree with my picks, then let me know with a thumbs up. If there's anything that you really disagree with, then let me know in the comments and I'll try to respond. Once again, please remember to hit that subscribe button, and until next time, stay smashing.